Enjoy 2 months later, that's gross. Giovanni scrunched up his nose, watching me stuff the Nutella toast in my mouth. I thought you liked junk food? Rocco mused, typing away on his laptop a few inches away from me on the couch. Surprisingly, Rocco was closer to me on the couch than either of the twins. Yeah, but not on brown bread. He scoffed, eyeing the toast in my hand with pure disgust. Who the fuck eats brown bread? Lots of people. Rocco muttered, still keeping his eyes on the laptop. It was normal for the Accardi brothers to be busy working while the twins slacked off and ate junk food. What wasn't so normal was me joining them in the middle of the day instead of working too, like I should have been. But this pregnancy and my cravings were getting the better of me. If you don't like it, you know where the door is. I spoke, my attention still focused on the TV across from us on the wall. It's an elevator, actually. Giovanni quipped back like the annoying little bitch he is. Bro, you're annoying Millie. Aiden jumped in, eyeing me with caution. Remember what happened last time? How could I forget? Giovanni winced, rubbing the side of his head gingerly, the spot where I once threw the TV remote at him. It was your fault. I took another bite of my Nutella toast, my favorite snack since the morning sickness subsided. I was officially in my second trimester at 15 weeks. When the doctor confirmed I was pregnant, he told me I was actually 7 weeks pregnant on our wedding anniversary. That was around 2 months ago. In these last 2 months, I've only flown to New York twice with Costa. The first time was straight after our anniversary. We were only here for a couple of days before the anxiety of being in such open territory got to me. I never knew if Victor was coming for me and my baby, and I may have had a few meltdowns. So we flew home to give me some peace of mind. Costa came back a couple of times with his brothers, but I stayed in Sicily until now. It seemed things with their war with Kozlov were going pretty well. The Serbs were effectively weakening him in Europe. They were targeting all of their shipments in and out of Russia on their European borders. In New York, the Greek Mafia were waging a full-scale war on the Russians. With the Greeks and the Serbs on their side, the Sicilians were pretty much unstoppable. But in these last few months, a few more criminal organizations had joined the cause. So apparently, Kozlov and Elena weren't very popular in the criminal underworld. A lot of people wanted them dethroned, so to speak. I didn't care as long as it meant my baby and I were safe. But since there hadn't been any more attempts on my life thanks to the Kozlov's bounty, I felt a lot more comfortable to come back to New York. It was, after all, the place where Costa and I initially wanted to settle down. Although now we'd pretty much decided to move to Sicily full-time when the baby comes. It's funny how New York and the penthouse felt more like home only months ago. Back then, I loved the idea of being somewhere alone with Costa where we could be away from the world and his family. But now, I love being around his family in Sicily. I think even Costa has warmed to the idea of settling there even after he once said there were too many ghosts since that's where he lived with his mother. There's something magical about children. When his baby cousin, Marina, moved in, that was what brought the family together and I made up with Riviera. Surprisingly, she's become so close to me in the last few months. She's been spending more time in Sicily since her Portuguese husband was helping Costa with the war against Kozlov in any way he could. And now, with our own baby on the way, the thought of our child growing up surrounded by family who loves it makes me so happy. So Sicily was to become our home for the foreseeable future, which brings me back to why I'm currently New York. There were 3 reasons I was back. 1, I had an appointment with a very highly rated gynecologist. I might have become borderline obsessed with making sure my child was healthy inside me. And this doctor was meant to be the best for taking care of pregnant women and their babies. Second, I had a company to run. I'd already started the process of looking for more specialized managers who could take over my role as CEO when I stepped back, although I'd still have the ultimate control. But that's a huge task and it takes a while. So now that my first trimester was over and all the symptoms were calming down, I finally had the energy to work again. The third, I had to tell my family I was pregnant. They still didn't know. I just didn't think it was wise to tell them while they were working so closely with the Akardi family to bring down Kozlov. Their cooperation was one of the reasons why this war was going well for us all. Judging by the way my brother reacted when he found out Costa and I were together, a baby would push him over the edge. Up until this point, only the Akardi family knew about my pregnancy. We told them all after we had it confirmed by a doctor. They were all over the moon for us, even Eduardo nodded out of happiness. I think he kind of likes me now that I've finally provided Costa with an heir and secured the line of succession, but he's still trying to hide it. Are you guys coming later to see Damien and Julius? I got up from the couch once the movie finished with the intention of heading upstairs to get ready. I probably should have done some work, but I had just enough time to take a calming bath before tonight. No, Costa banned us. Gio grumbled, already scrolling for another movie. He said we're annoying or some shit. Why? I can't say I blamed my husband or disagreed with him, but I wanted to know the reason. We made a mess of his office, now he's lashing out. Aiden sighed dejectedly. You dropped another fucking water balloon on Luca. Rocco joined the conversation, annoyance biting into his tone. You fucked up an important meeting. I've heard enough, I sighed, taking my plate over to the kitchen in the open plan room. Costa is meeting us at the restaurant, Millie. Rocco called out as I now walked to the upstairs. Be ready in an hour. Yeah, right. I scoffed, heading up the stairs. I need 90 minutes. I'm having a bath first and no one on this planet will stop me. An hour, Rocco spoke firmly. 90 minutes later, we finally left the penthouse to go and meet Costa for dinner. Then we headed to his usual gentleman's club to meet my brother and cousin. The ambience of the gentleman's club was luxurious and opulent. Dim lighting, plush velvet seating, and the soft murmur of conversation created an atmosphere of exclusivity. The air was filled with the faint scent of expensive cigars and fine whiskey. Costa, Rocco, and I had chosen this safe place for a discreet meeting, away from prying eyes and ears. It wasn't hard to convince Julius and Damien to meet at one of the Accardi's clubs. After the threat to my life from Kozlov's bounty, they understood I wouldn't want to leave Accardi territory. And since their relationship had improved with Costa's family, they weren't as tense as before. I think they also just really wanted to see me. I hadn't seen either of them for 4 months, ever since Julius told me I was dead to him for falling in love with Costa. They both tried to contact me, and Costa also told me they asked about me whenever he spoke to them. But I just didn't want to revisit the emotions of that time. After that night at the restaurant, I had to deal with Zari's suggestion she might come for Costa and then also Elena the very next day. That was the night I almost killed myself because of all the pressure. I didn't want to go back there. I didn't want to face it, so I just didn't. As we headed into a private room, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. This was the first time announcing my pregnancy to anyone outside the Accardi family, and it was scary. It also had larger implications for the Greek-Sicilian alliance. A baby solidified the alliance, a baby who had status in both organizations. I had no idea how they would react. Rocco took his seat and Costa pulled out a chair for me. I was sitting between the two brothers with two chairs left across from us. As he took his seat, Costa noticed my tension and squeezed my hand reassuringly. "It'll be fine, Millie. Now is the best time to tell them." I nodded, giving him a small smile, the best I could muster. "I know, I'm just nervous." "There's no need to be nervous. Those two idiots have been chewing my ear off for the chance to see you, as if I give a fuck if you say yes." Rocco muttered, his irritation already spiking at the mention of my family. "That doesn't mean they'll take the news well." I placed a hand over my very tiny little bump, rubbing it lightly. It wasn't really a bump, it just looked like I'd eaten too much, which was usually the case. I was stuffing as much Nutella toast into my mouth as possible. The action caught both their attention, and soon we were all staring at my stomach as if we were waiting for the bump to magically appear. I would have laughed at their expressions if that wasn't the moment the door opened. The sound caused us all to look up just as Julius and Damien came inside. "Millie?" Damien smiled, although I could sense some hesitation when he didn't come towards us. I pushed my chair back, standing up to go and give him a hug just to ease his worries. My anger wasn't at him, not at all. It was all my brother. As I pulled out of my hug with Damien, I noticed the way my cousin frowned. He studied me with his brown eyes, almost like he was trying to figure something out. Before he could ask any questions, I turned my attention to my brother instead. "Julius." My tone was clipped and I remained by Damien. "Millie." He gave me a small smile, like he was testing the waters. His sentence trailed off his, and his eyes shifted towards the two Accardi brothers who were sitting watching the exchange. I knew he didn't want to apologize in front of them, but I didn't care. He told me I was dead to him in front of Rocco and Costa, so he could apologize in front of them too. So I cleared my throat, forcing him to look back at me again. "I'm sorry, Millie." "Sorry for what?" I frowned, my eyes narrowing. "For what I said. I know you would never betray us or them." He awkwardly looked over at Rocco and Costa, who were definitely enjoying his discomfort. "I was just angry. I hated the way he treated you. You're my little sister. You hated the way he treated me, but you became worse. You told me I was dead to you, Julius." The hurt seemed into my voice, and I subconsciously wrapped my arms over my stomach, taking a step back. "I know, fuck, I know what I said was bad. I didn't mean to hurt you, Millie. I just let my anger get the best of me. That's not enough." I shook my head. "Sorry isn't enough. Then what do you want? Whatever it is, I'll do it." He took a step closer, desperation seeping into his voice. "I just need you back, Millie. 4 months is too fucking long." I held his stare, taking note of how honest and genuine he was being. Can you just accept this? My life and marriage with Costa." He was about to open his mouth to speak, but I quickly added one more thing. "And make an effort to get along with him. I'm tired of you all hating each other and arguing all the time. I can't have that when the baby comes. I want my baby to know both sides of its family, the Greek side and the Sicilian side. But that can't happen if they're all at odds with each other all the time." My brother hesitated, glancing over at my smirking husband. His eyes narrowed at Costa, and I could see his irritation spike. But then he looked at me and his gaze softened. "Okay, whatever you want." He stepped closer, and when I didn't move away, he held his hand out to me. "Can I have a hug now?" My walls only stayed up for another few seconds before I took his hand, allowing him to pull me in for a hug. I buried my face in his chest, savoring the comfort that came from being in my brother's hold. After everything, it was always hugging my family that calmed me down. "I'm really sorry, Millie." He whispered into my ear, pressing a kiss to my temple. I know. I nodded, hugging him for another few seconds before I finally pulled away. Damien moved to take his seat, and so did Julius while I edged towards the door. Since I was out of my seat, I might as well just go. I'm just going to the bathroom, then we can order some snacks. Don't order anything without me. I narrowed my eyes threateningly at the four of them. The snacks at this particular gentleman's club were to die for. I wasn't missing out on anything because they couldn't be bothered to wait for me to order. Sure, Costa laughed, relaxing back in his seat. Don't worry, we'll wait. I left the four of them to talk while I headed to the fancy bathroom down the hallway. Considering it was technically a club, or a strip club if we're being accurate, this place oozed luxury. When you get to a certain level, you can pay to make anything a luxury experience. Usually strip clubs were gross, but this one was aimed at the richest people in New York, hence the beautiful scented soap and soft towels in the bathroom. Once I was done peeing for the millionth time that day, I headed back to the room to finally tell Julius and Damien the news. I opened the door excitedly, ready to order every single food item off the menu. However, that excitement disappeared when I was met with a waiter leaving the room. He flashed me a kind smile, stepping past me and out the door while I put two and two together. Then I was met with four amused looks, and I swear I lost my shit. I told you to wait. I stepped inside, closing the door behind myself with a lot more force than needed. You took too long. Rocco shrugged, relaxing back in his chair. No, I didn't. I took an appropriate amount of time. I glared at my brother-in-law before turning my attention to my husband. You said you'd wait. I wanted to check the menu. I'm hungry. Relax, Prince Ipesa, Costa laughed. We only ordered some drinks. You've still got plenty of time to choose your food. You're touchy today, Damien added, giving me that same suspicious look. Why? Before I could come up with an excuse, the door to the private room opened behind me. I turned around, and to my surprise, Zari walked in. She was dressed in a sleek black dress that hugged her curves, her usual curly hair framing her face perfectly. Her eyes lit up when she saw me. Millie. I didn't expect to see you here, she exclaimed, her tone bright and cheerful. I blinked, caught off guard by her sudden appearance and her intrusion into the room. Zari, what are you doing here? She shrugged, a mischievous glint in her eyes. I'm here with a friend, didn't know this was your kind of place. Before I could respond, Costa stood up, his expression a mix of surprise and irritation. This is a private meeting. Zari's eyes flicked to Costa, and I noticed a subtle change in her demeanor. She straightened her posture, her gaze lingering on him a bit longer than necessary. I didn't mean to intrude. I just saw Millie and thought I'd say hi. It's been months since I saw her. Rocco, who had been silent up until now, glanced at Costa and then at me, his eyes narrowing. At least he could see through her facade, too. We have business to attend to. Rocco spoke curtly, giving her one of his signature glares. Get out. Rocco had been the most protective over me since we announced our pregnancy. He also knew how I was feeling about Zari and her feelings towards my husband. Zari nodded, but instead of leaving, she took a step closer, her eyes gleaming with curiosity. What kind of business are you guys into? Costa's jaw tightened, but he remained composed. It's private, Zari, leave. Her eyes widened slightly as if she had just pieced something together. Oh, I see, Mafia stuff, right? The room fell silent, and I felt my heart skip a beat. Zari had always been sharp, but I never expected her to figure it out so quickly. Or to be so bold to say it directly to Costa's face in front of everyone. That's what most of the men who come here are involved in. I mean, it makes sense. You've always been so mysterious. Acosta's expression darkened when she continued rambling and he took a step towards her. What the fuck is going on here? Julius snapped, clearly having had enough of my friend crashing our meeting. Zari. Acosta said in a low, warning tone, "This isn't something to joke about." She raised her hands in a gesture of innocence, a playful smile on her lips. "Relax, Costa, your secret is safe with me." I felt a surge of protectiveness and jealousy rise within me. Zari's interest in Costa was becoming more bold and apparent, and I didn't like it one bit. "Zari, maybe you should go." I spoke, trying to keep my voice steady. I was ready for slit her throat, and at that point, I wouldn't have felt a shred of remorse. "All right, Millie, I'll see you later." As she turned back to the door, she paused, her eyes locking with his. "Nice to see you again, Costa." Costa didn't acknowledge her words, his expression unreadable. As the door closed behind her, he turned to me, his eyes softening. "Are you okay?" I nodded, but I couldn't shake the anger coursing through my veins. "Yeah, I'm fine." What the fuck was her problem? Damien spat, his eyes still locked on the door. "Was she just flirting with your husband? Isn't she supposed to be your fucking friend?" Damien and Julius met Zari a couple times at different occasions, for example, my 25th birthday party and my award party. But they didn't know her that well. "The Putana is going after Costa." Rocco murmured, his expression also a mask of anger, then he turned to look at me. "Just say the word, Millie." I knew exactly what he was suggesting, and judging by the rest of their expressions, I knew they all supported Rocco. "Just leave her, I don't want her dead, I just want her away from me." If I was protective over Costa before, this pregnancy was making that so much worse. Threats to our marriage weren't just threats to me and Costa anymore, they were threats to our unborn baby, too. And I didn't take it lightly if people threatened my baby, but I didn't want Zari dead, not yet at least. "Come and sit down." Costa held his hand out for me, beckoning me over. I headed back to my seat, which he pushed back in and then sat down beside me, sliding the leather-bound menu to me. "Order whatever you want, Principessa." He leaned in to press a kiss to my temple, completely ignoring the fact Julius and Damien weren't used to seeing us together like that. The affectionate gesture from Costa took me by surprise. Not that he wasn't affectionate normally, but the fact that he did it so openly in front of Julius and Damien was a shift. They both noticed it too. Julius awkwardly cleared his throat while Damien smirked, his amused eyes meeting mine. I took a deep breath, pushing the encounter with Zari to the back of my mind. I had more important things to focus on right now. First, my snacks, and then my pregnancy announcement. Opening the menu, I scanned through the options, noting all the dishes I wanted. There was a long list, but I was hungry. For the next few minutes, the rest of them were talking about some joint business deal they had going on with some French criminals. They only paused when the waiter came back for our food order. "Ladies first." He smiled, pulling out his notebook. "All right, I'll start with the truffle fries, the mini sliders, prawn cocktail, and the lobster rolls," I said, glancing up at the waiter who had returned to take our order. "Cazzo, just order the entire menu, why don't you?" "Fuck," Rocco scoffed, earning himself a glare from me. "One more comment like that and I won't let you have any of it." He seemed to take heed of my threat, nodding towards the waiter with an amused expression. "Anything else?" The waiter asked, his pen poised above his notepad. "I like this guy. And the chocolate fondue for dessert," I added with a grin. "With a strawberry milkshake, but I want my milkshake with my food. I might have a second one with dessert, maybe a different flavor." "I love milkshakes." The waiter nodded and I turned my attention back to the table. Julius and Damien were still watching me, their expressions a mix of amusement and curiosity. The waiter then went around the table to get everyone else's orders. However, since we'd just been out of dinner, Costa and Rocco didn't order as much food as I did. Okay, so now that you've finished ordering everything on the menu, what's the big news, Millie? Julius asked, leaning forward slightly. I knew I'd pique their curiosity with my request to meet so I could share some news with them. But there was no other way to get them to come. I think they would have known something was up if I tried to suggest a casual meeting. I took a deep breath, feeling Costa's reassuring presence beside me. Well, there's something important I need to tell you both. Their eyes widened slightly, and I could feel the tension in the room rise. Damien's gaze flickered to my stomach, and I knew he had already guessed it. I'm pregnant, I announced, my voice steady despite the nerves coursing through me. Costa and I are having a baby. There was a moment of stunned silence before Damien broke into a wide grin. I knew it when I saw your glow, and your cheeks are puffier. Hey, I gasped, bringing my hands to my cheeks. Congratulations, Maleficent. Damien smiled, his eyes shining with genuine happiness for me. I already know you're going to be the best mother. Julius's reaction was more subdued, but I could see the wheels turning in his mind. He was calculating the implications, thinking about the alliance and what this meant for our families. He took his time before he released a slow breath, his eyes locked on me. My baby sister is having a baby, he whispered. I'm not a baby, I'm 26 now. Well and truly in my boss bitch era. I already know when I have my baby we're going to wear matching clothes. How cute would it be if my shirt says boss bitch and their baby grow says boss baby? Bitch, if Costa doesn't get that for me, I'm going to kick his ass. You'll always be my baby sister, Millie. He spoke softly, his eyes drifting over to Costa next to me. I could tell he was struggling to process the news, but he accepted it. If you're happy, then I'm happy for you, Millie. He finally smiled, pride gleaming in his eyes, and I'm so fucking proud of you. Really? Of course I am. He smiled before shifting his gaze towards my husband. Congratulations, Costa, but this changes a lot of things. Julius continued, his tone becoming more serious. Things we need to discuss. I hate Mafia men. Why do they have to ruin everything? Yes, it does, and we will. Costa agreed, his hand resting protectively on my back. That's why we called you here, but it's a good change. Our families need to come together now more than ever. Julius nodded slowly, his eyes meeting mine. I'll support you, Millie. Whatever you need, I'm here. Damien leaned back in his chair, a thoughtful expression on his face. This baby will be the bridge between our families. That means it's going to be a target for our enemies. If anyone wants to break this alliance, all they have to do is go after our child. I know, I replied, my hand resting on my stomach. But we'll protect it, we'll do whatever it takes. The waiter returned with my food, and we spent the next hour discussing plans, the future, and how we would navigate the changes ahead. So you've already decided. Damien frowned, taking one of my lobster rolls off the plate while I sipped on my milkshake. Yeah, I mean, when things with Kozlov are safe again, we'll be coming back to New York to visit. But when the baby comes, at least for now, we thought Sicily would be safer. But how are we supposed to see you and the baby? My cousin's question brought a smile to my face. I'm sure if you ask nicely, Costa will let you into Sicily to come and see us. I glanced over at my husband, who only rolled his eyes, stealing some of my truffle fries. That bitch can't stop me entering Sicily. Damien scoffed in disbelief. No, Costa cocked an eyebrow, taking a bite of the fries. I can have your ass banned from entry with just one phone call. You wouldn't, my cousin narrowed his eyes. Try me, Cagna. Bitch, the two of them had some kind of stare down before Damien relented. Fine, I'll ask nicely, but only when the time comes and only to come and see baby Maleficent. No. I immediately sat up in my chair, speaking through a mouthful of my chicken slider. You're not calling my baby those nicknames. You don't like it, Mildew. Julius flashed me a teasing smirk, taking another one of my lobster rolls. These bitches were finishing all my food. At least they haven't stolen my drink, although I wouldn't put it past them. No, I don't like it. I hate it when you call me stupid names and now you're going to do it to my child. You hate it, Damien frowned. You never said all these years I thought you liked being called Millipede. No, my outburst had the four of them laughing. Finally, they found some common ground. Unfortunately, I think that was making fun of me. We need to think of some new ones. Julius mused thoughtful. The favorites have always been Maleficent, Mildew, Mildred. Damien laughed. That's one of my favorites. How about Milady? Milwaukee, Julius suggested, causing the four of them to chuckle. I got it. Damien suddenly sat up, his eyes gleaming. This one is perfect for the occasion, ready for it. He dragged out the suspense, leaving all of us hanging. MILF, I'm going to kill him, and then the other three for laughing. You idiots missed the most obvious one. Costa chuckled, throwing an arm around the back of my chair. What? Julius asked. Costa paused for a moment to drag out the suspense, his eyes meeting mine. Milkshake. Costa smiled, now eyeing the strawberry milkshake in my hand. I wanted to hate it, especially because he was joining in with Julius and Damien. But I couldn't, milkshake was just too cute. I hid my smile by slurping on my milkshake, letting the dairy melt away my annoyance with each sip. Milkshake, that's a good one. Julius added. Millie loves milkshakes. How did we not get that one? It's mine now, you're not allowed to use it. Yes, the heir to the Sicilian Mafia and one of the most powerful men in the world was claiming a nickname for me. And it was so cute. You're all idiots. Rocco groaned, stretching out his muscles like this meeting was becoming too physically exhausting for him. Just because your name is so boring, no one could make a nickname out of it. I stuck my tongue out at my brother-in-law, who rose an eyebrow at me. Then my idiot brother and cousin decided to jump in. Rockstar, Rocky, Rocket, Rockabye, Rockfish, Rockslide, Rockweed. Rockness monster, rock, okay, I get it. Cue another round of laughter. I pouted my lips, slurping again on my milkshake. I hate you all. Ah, but we love you, MILF, Damien smirked, raising his glass at me. I'm going to find my dessert. With a glare, I pushed back my chair to stand up. Order me another whiskey. Rocco murmured, pulling out a cigar from his pocket. Go with her. Acosta leaned back a little so he could speak to Rocco, who was sitting on my other side. Fine. Rocco sighed, way more exaggerated than necessary, standing to his feet. Come on, I don't need a babysitter. I scoffed, trying to glare at my husband. Instead, Rocco placed his hand on my lower back, shoving me towards the door. Hey, I'm carrying precious cargo, which is why you need a babysitter. Rocco quipped, shoving me again towards the door. I don't like you. I finally started walking just to avoid him shoving me a third time. One more shove and he'd end up meeting my blade. Unfortunately, I'd end up in Costa's bad books if I stabbed his brother. We headed out to the main area of the gentlemen's club where the rest of the patrons were gathered. They were either sitting in secluded booths or in the center where they could see the strippers with more ease. Come on, this time Rocco gently guided me forward, placing a hand on my lower back. His expression was cold, his eyes darting around the room as if he was assessing it for any threats. I noticed the Accardi family do that a lot. If they enter a new room, they automatically assess who is there and what's going on around them. We stepped up to the bar with Rocco standing protectively beside me, or half behind me, half beside me. Sir, the bartender approached, his black dress shirt and pants immaculate to match the luxury atmosphere. A tray of Mac Allen 18s for that room. Rocco pointed to the private room and chase up the dessert. And a bon and no. I pursed my lips, thinking hard about my decision. A cookies and cream milkshake, please. Sure, I'll have it delivered to you. He nodded, stepping back to get everything we ordered. Such a tough decision, huh? Irako mocked as we turned around to head back. I'd kill you for a milkshake, don't ever forget that. My words caused him to chuckle, but the rare sound was cut short when my eyes landed on Zari. She approached us, accompanied by a tall, lean man. There was something about his aura that just screamed trouble, something that wasn't uncommon in establishments like these. Millie, I'm so sorry about earlier. I have no idea why I said that out loud in front of everyone. She didn't seem genuine, not at all, and it actually hurt me the more I saw this side to her. My own friend was so happy to play games with me and my life as if I meant nothing to her, all to get her thrill of sleeping with a married man, a dangerous and powerful married man. I doubt that. I narrowed my eyes at her, noticing the way she was holding the man's hand. This is who you're here with? He's the one who told me about the… he said he knows your family. That's how I put the pieces together. You know him. I turned to Rocco, who scoffed in disgust. I don't mingle with the trash, Millie, you should know that. I guess that said it all, and their expressions showed exactly how they felt about Rocco's words. So how come you never told me? Zari's tone was a lot harder, almost as if she was offended I didn't break Omerta for her. Why would I? Because we're friends, best friends. She added the second part, apparently believing it. We might have been friends, but we're not anymore. You've made your feelings towards my husband really clear, and I won't tolerate it. Millie, stay away from us, I mean it. I finished with a cold glare before grabbing Rocco's hand, dragging him away. Damn, he chuckled. Mama Bear brought out the claws, and she'll scratch you if you don't shut up. I turned to glare at him, but my anger faltered when I saw the concern on his face. We came to a stop just outside the door, our hands still joined when he spoke. You okay? I guess. I shrugged, averted my gaze to the floor instead of his intimidating gaze. I mean, it's been months since we last spoke, and I knew what her intentions were then. It just kind of sucks to be proven right. Well, it's her loss. Clearly, she's got a sick thing for destroying marriages. His eyes drifted over to where Zari still stood with that guy. You don't want a friend like that, Millie. You can do so much better. Oh, yeah. He suddenly pulled his hand out of mine, his usual expression reappearing. That hurt me, Millie. I'm very particular about the company I keep. Oh, come on. We both know that's not true. You sleep with anything that moves. Not true. I sleep with anything that moves as long as it's classy and sexy. He flashed me a smirk, shoving me into the room after he pushed open the door. You seriously need to stop doing that. I turned to glare at him, but it faltered again, instead morphing into a smile. I shook my head, heading back into the room. Come on, idiota, my milkshake is coming soon. Millie and Rocco, they're becoming besties.